Big shout out to Price for asking a great question on the qualified dividends worksheet. Got down here to row 24 and read that it said if the amount on line 7 is less than 100,000, use the tax table to figure the tax. And what that means is come over here to the PDF and find these tax tables and manually look it up. And I meant to say this in the previous video, not sure if I glossed over it, but it's definitely worth revisiting. According to these instructions, we can't use these tax rate schedules that we used here. We have to go over here. And so I checked that before I wrote the assignment, and sure enough, it's within a couple dollars on each one, but there's some difference. And so I did a little research on that, found this website down here at the bottom of the tax rate schedule pages. And basically it says, yes, you can get close with the calculations, but you'll be a few dollars off. And legally, you are required to use the number that manually looks up in this table. So we'll use this as an opportunity to test our model and use a data table. We're not going to manually look anything up in this table, but what we'll do, at least for the model, what we'll do is we'll calculate it and then compare it to the answer we would have gotten by looking it up in this table. So first thing I'm going to do is go back to the dashboard, and we'll delete most of these entries and just start with a very simple W-2 income. I'm going to flip over to my own model where I have the qualified dividend worksheet built out, and we'll see the answers we get. Okay, this is my built-out model where I've got the formulas in the qualified dividend worksheet, and I've gone in and deleted all of the other inputs and said we just have a very simple taxpayer who got a job, is single, and made $50,000 in W-2 income. What would their taxes be? So when I run that through the model, 50,000 is my total income. I'm seeing that on the AGI line on the 1040. I'm seeing that I picked up my standard deduction, and of course, just like your model, all these are referring to the appropriate schedules or forms behind them. And it gives me a taxable income of 38,000, which is the 50 minus the standard deduction, and I get 43,669.50. Let's see if 38,000 in the tax tables would give me that same number. 38,000 is 43.73 versus 43.69.50. So I'm about $3.50 off. And that's about what I saw when I looked at a lot of those. We could actually rebuild these tax tables with the data table. Let's do that. I don't have exactly the right inputs, but let's see how our tax changes for this. And this would be a great way to test your model. Okay, let's test the model using a what if data table to see if we can really recreate the correct tax over a range of entries. We've simplified it down to just filing status of 1 and W-2 income is the only thing going in. And we'll change that W-2 income. We'll look at these, let's see how many, 71 different values. So we'll run this model 71 times and find out what our taxable income would be and what our tax would be. I wish we could just come up with the taxable income as an input into this model, but let's not do it that way. Let's go ahead and input the W-2 income, let it calculate a taxable income, and then we'll compare if we use that taxable income in the table, do we get the same tax? And so we need to tell it where to find taxable income and where to find the tax. Then we need to select all the data table, hit Alt-DT or Alt-AWT, and we don't have any column, I don't have any row input cells in this one, but we do have a column input cell in this one, and that is our W-2 income. So one at a time, it'll take each of these 71 different values, plug it in here, and grab those two numbers and set them out to the side. And it did that quickly. When it plugged in 20,000, it took our standard deduction, got us down to 8,000 taxable income and 800 tax. Let's see how that compares. On the tax table, the way the IRS wants us to do this, we would have plugged in the 8,000 and gotten $803 tax, which is a little bit high. But if we'd plugged in 7,999, we would have gotten $798 tax, which was a little bit low. So I think we're working correctly there. Let's test a few more. If we came down here to $100,000 and taxable income of 88,000 is $15,416 tax. 88,000, $15,409 tax. So again, we're just a little bit off, and that's because the tax table is discrete. It's looking at windows. We're exact with the tax rates. And this is close enough for our tax planning purposes. Again, not close enough for legal purposes. So I'm going to go ahead and run a few other scenarios through here, post the results, and let you see if your model gives the same results. And here are the results for various scenarios that I came up with. Hopefully you can get the same answers. I compared my answers to what I got out of TurboTax, and everyone was less than 0.1% off. Most of them were much closer than that. I've posted these in a separate file on Canvas so you can compare all the scenarios. Boomer Sooner.